So we're going to be reacting to the sports betting trap explained by Plain Capital.
$100 to bring home 10K.
300,000 in debt on credit cards. It's all sports betting.
This is what winning $75 million in 5 seconds looks like.
25 million.
I told you can't bet this. Only on FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Prize Picks.
If you feel like sports betting is taking over the world, you're not imagining it. In 2023 alone, Americans wagered $119 billion on sports.
Damn.
That is more than the GDP of entire countries. But here's the question nobody's asking. Why is the betting app on your phone so addictive? If you think you're just placing a wager on your favorite team, you are actually walking into a trap designed by neuroscientists to short-circuit your brain. In today's video, we're going to break down the legal loophole that put a casino in your pocket, examine the video game psychology they use to keep you hooked, and finally show you the one specific bet these apps are praying that you make. To understand how we got here, we have to look at how the laws changed. Because for a long time, what you're doing on your phone right now would have landed you in handcuffs. Back in 1992, Congress passed a law called PASPA, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. This effectively bans sports betting in every state except Nevada. The government wanted to protect the integrity of the game. They didn't want referees or players throwing matches for money. So for 25 years, if you wanted to bet on the Super Bowl, you had to fly to Las Vegas or find a sketchy guy named Vinny at the local bar. But then
No wonder Nevada was like so famous. Las Vegas was so famous for sports betting. Now you can do it pretty much everywhere. So that makes sense. I didn't know that.
Then something strange happened in 2006. Congress passed another law called the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act. This law was actually meant to crush online poker. It made it illegal for banks to process payments to gambling sites. But tucked away in the text of that law was a tiny exemption, a few lines of text that would eventually change the entire American economy. The law said that fantasy sports were not gambling because they were games of skill, not chance. Now, at the time, fantasy sports meant a bunch of office workers drafting a team for the whole season and putting $20 in a pot. It was slow, harmless, and social. But two companies, FanDuel and DraftKings, saw that exemption and realized they could drive a truck through it. They thought, if season-long fantasy is legal, why can't we do daily fantasy? Instead of waiting 6 months to win, you could draft a team in the morning, watch the games at night, and win the money by bedtime, and then do it again the next day. Technically, it was still fantasy sports, but functionally, it was sports betting. And because of that 2006 loophole, they were allowed to operate in almost every state, building massive databases of users and normalizing the idea of betting on your phone. This was the Trojan horse. By the time the government realized what was happening, millions of Americans were already hooked. But the final nail in the coffin for the old laws came from New Jersey. You see, the state was struggling financially and wanted a piece of the betting action. They sued the NCAA and the pro leagues, arguing that federal government could not tell states what laws to pass. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and in 2018, in a landmark decision called Murphy versus NCAA, the court struck down PASPA. Overnight, the federal ban was gone. It was now up to every state to decide for themselves. And since states love tax revenue, the dominoes fell fast. Within a few years, over 30 states legalized it. But here's the catch. When the floodgates opened, the companies that were ready to pounce weren't the old school casinos. It was the daily fantasy companies, FanDuel and DraftKings, who had spent a decade building the perfect mobile interface for sports betting. They didn't just bring sports betting to your phone, they brought the mechanics of mobile gaming to gambling. And that brings us to the second, more dangerous layer of the story. Have you ever noticed how fast these apps are? If you walk into a casino in 1990 to place a bet, you had to walk to the counter, tell the ticket writer your bet, hand over cash, and get a paper ticket. It was a transaction. It took time. You had a moment to think, should I really be betting my rent money on the Jets? The apps today have
100%.
removed that friction, and that is by design. Neuroscientists and UI designers call this reducing the time to reward. The faster they can get you from an impulse to a wager, the less time your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, has to intervene. But speed is just a delivery mechanism. The drug itself is dopamine. And these apps borrow heavily from the freemium gaming world. Think Candy Crush or Clash of Clans. They use variable rewards and sensory feedback to gamify the experience of losing money. For example, look at the cash out button. You place a bet on a team, they go up by 7 points, suddenly the app offers you a button. Cash out now for 80% of your profit. It feels like a generous feature, giving you control. But psychologically, it keeps you engaged with the app during the game. Instead of placing a bet and walking away, you're glued to the screen, constantly making micro decisions. Every second the number changes, you get a little spike of adrenaline. It turns
No lie, there has been like times that I've seen friends put like $10 on the entire like UFC card, and they get all the way down to the last card. And their payout, if they win, is like $500. But if you cash out now, it'll be like $200. Keep in mind, he put in $10. This is like 200% return, and he still stays with it, and then he loses it all. But then again, there's a chance he could have made 500. So
turns a passive activity, watching a game, into an active high-stress loop. Then there's the near-miss effect. In slot machines, if you get 2 cherries and a lemon, the machine flashes lights and plays a sound that is almost as happy as a win. Your brain registered this not as a loss, but as I almost won. Sports betting apps do the exact same thing. Let's say you bet on a player to score 20 points. He scores 19. A rational brain would say, I lost money. I was wrong. But the gambler's brain, hijacked by the interface, says, I was so close. I just need to tweak it a little bit the next time. This near miss releases dopamine almost identical to a win. It encourages you to chase the loss immediately because you feel like the win is right around the corner. And the apps know this, and this is why immediately after a loss, you will often get a notification for a boost offer. They want to catch you in that vulnerable state of almost. They also use bonus bets or risk-free bets to get you started. You have seen the ads. Bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets instantly. This sounds like free money, but you need to read the fine print. Usually, you can't just withdraw that $150 they just gave you. You have to bet it. It is monopoly money that only exists inside their system. They're willing to give you $150 because they know the lifetime value of a new customer is thousands of dollars. They're paying for your addiction acquisition. Once you're in, they stop giving you free money and start nudging you towards the most profitable product in their arsenal, the one specific bet that powers the entire industry.
Like, he's explaining all this to me, but I'm probably gonna still start sports betting once I turn 21, so doesn't matter to me.
If you learn one thing from this video, let it be this. The sportsbooks do not want you betting on who will win the game. If you bet $110 on the Chiefs to win and they win, you profit $100. The sportsbook only makes a small commission, usually called the VIG or the juice, which is about 4.5% to 5%. That is a razor-thin margin in a sports world. If some sharp bettors got lucky, the sportsbook could actually lose money on that game. So they need a product with a higher margin, a product where the math is so heavily stacked against you and they effectively cannot lose. And the answer to their prayers is the parlay. A parlay is when you combine multiple bets into one ticket. The Chiefs win and Patrick Mahomes throws 2 touchdowns and Travis Kelce catches a pass. All 3 things have to happen for you to win. If even one of them fails, you lose the whole bet. The appeal is obvious. You can bet $10 to win $500. It looks like a lottery ticket. It's exciting. It's a story you can tell your friends if you win. But here's the math they hide from you. On the street bets, meaning betting on one single game, the sportsbook keeps about 5% of the money wagered. On a parlay, the sportsbook keeps on average 30% or more. In some states like New Jersey, parlays account for huge chunks of sportsbooks' revenue, even though they make up a smaller percentage of the total handle. Why is the margin so high? Because the probability of hitting a multi-leg parlay drops off a cliff, but the payout does not rise fast enough to match the true risk. Let's do the math. Imagine a simple coin toss. It's a 50-50 chance. In a fair world, if you bet $10, you win $10 in profit. You double your money. Now, if you try to predict 2 coin flips in a row, that's a parlay. It gets much harder. You only have a 25% chance of getting it right. Mathematically, to make that bet fair based on the risk, the app should pay you $30 in profit on the same $10 bet. But they don't. They will typically pay you about $26. They're shaving value off the top, and they shave it every single time you add a leg to the parlay. By the time you have an 8-leg lottery ticket, the house edge is so astronomical, sometimes over 40%. This is why every promotion you see is for a parlay. They are incentivizing you to play the game where they have the biggest advantage. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a casino offer a boost on a blackjack hand? Never, because the margins are too tight. But they offer boosts on parlays constantly because it is the most profitable item on the menu. Recently, they introduced the same game parlay. This was a genius invention by the sports books. In the past, you couldn't parlay Chiefs to win and Mahomes to throw 3 touchdowns because these events are correlated. If Mahomes throws 3 touchdowns, the Chiefs are likely to win. The old math didn't work for the books. So now they rebuild their algorithms to allow it. Now you can bet on every tiny micro event in a single game. It creates an illusion of knowledge. You think, I know the Chiefs offense so I can predict exactly what will happen. But sports are chaotic. Anything can happen. A receiver slips, a penalty cancels a touchdown, a coach decides to run the clock out. One random event kills your 10-leg parlay. You lose your money, but you tell yourself, I was so close. Just one leg missed.
I remember my friend put like a $50 bet on Real Madrid to win, and he wanted one of the strikers to get a goal. In the first 10 minutes, I think he got a red card, and the whole parlay was cooked.
And you bet again, and that's what they're counting on. So we have a legal system that allows it, an app built to addict you, and a specific bet type designed to drain your wallet. What is the result? We're seeing a quiet financial crisis happening all around us. The study from the Kellogg School of Management is terrifying. It analyzed millions of transactions. I found that for the average person, for every dollar of increased betting, net investment or savings went down by $2. That means people aren't just spending their fun money. They're pulling money out of savings, reducing their 401k contributions, and dipping into emergency fund to chase losses. The study also found that among financially constrained households, people who are already living paycheck to paycheck, credit card debt increased, and bank account overdrafts became more frequent after sports betting were legalized in their states. We're seeing people treat sports betting not as entertainment, but as an investment strategy.
But there's people that take it to the extreme and then just lose the entire house. Like some person probably lost like 20K betting on the Patriots to win. Like the past Super Bowl and just completely gone. Lost it. Whole house gone. The dog gone. Rent money done for. Kids college fund non-existent anymore. He's not on the college anymore. So you were close to hitting the parlay, I guess.
You hear people say, I'm investing in the Bills game. No, they're not. Investing is when you put money into an asset that produces value over time. Betting is a negative sum game where you're paying a fee for the privilege of taking a risk. But because the apps look like stock trading apps with green numbers, graphs, data analytics, it tricks your brain into thinking we're day traders. And just like the payday loans and subprime mortgages, the damage isn't visible immediately. It happens slowly, transaction by transaction. $50 here, $20 there, until the savings account is empty. Is the answer to ban sports betting? Probably not. Americans love to gamble. And prohibitions rarely works. So if you are going to participate, you need to treat the app like a dangerous tool. You need to wear safety gear. Here's how you can protect yourself. Number 1, stop betting parlays. If you actually want to make money, or at least lose slowly, stick to straight bets. Pick one team or one game. The house edge is 4.5%, not 30%. It's boring, but that's how you save your bankroll. Number 2, unit management. Professional bettors never bet more than 1% or 2% of their total bankroll on a single game. If you have $1,000 set aside for betting, your bet size is $10, period. If you're betting $50 or $100 just to feel something, you're not betting. You're paying for an expensive dopamine hit. Number 3, recognize the churn. Understand that the app is designed to make you bet often. Live betting, same game parlays, instant deposits, these are all speed traps. Slow down. If you find yourself betting on a Russian table tennis game at 2 a.m. in the morning because that's the only thing on, you have lost control. The sports betting companies are...
Dude, I know that companies used to like just bet on like big games and stuff like that, like regular games, but now there's apps where you can bet on literally anything. And I remember that there was this one guy that bet $50,000 that there was going to be someone running naked in the field. And he put the bet down. And then he went out and he did it himself to get the 50K. I don't know if he ever got paid out, but hey, if he got paid out and spent like maybe 1 or 2 nights in jail, I think that's worth it.
Counting on you being impulsive. They are counting on you ignoring the math. They're counting on you chasing that dopamine high. Don't give them that satisfaction.
Yeah, I feel bad that there's some people that gamble literally their whole savings away. But then again, if you're doing it smartly, I feel like you can make money from it. But if you're doing it like $1,000 bet, when you have $1,000 in savings and $2,000 in credit card debt, like that's not worth it at that point. You're just looking to get more in debt at that point. That's just plain stupid.